when to wear your uniform and where not to wear your uniform. Now, I'm going to give you some true story examples of where officers have worn their uniform and it has gotten them in trouble. Now, you're going to hear some of these and say, well, why would anybody even think about doing that? That can't be true. If I'm going to tell you about it today, it actually happened. I wrote down about 7 different incidents that took place where officers did things in their uniform they should not, or took some selfies in their uniform they should not. So let's be careful with these things, and you can either take this information and use it to protect yourself if you ever get the idea that you want to do any of these things, and maybe it'll help you change your mind not to do them. I'm going to start out with number 1, and it seems like this one happens quite often. I know that in my 28 and a half years career, it has happened to a few officers. Stopping by the liquor store on the way home after work, picking up your beer or your bourbon, whatever you like, your wild turkey, honey, whatever you like, and walking out of the liquor store in uniform with a lot of booze in your hand. Well, to a lot of people that seems harmless, but you have to think about the perception. What is or what will someone in Publix or the grocery store next to the liquor store think when they see you coming out in uniform with all this alcohol? No, you're not drinking the alcohol. Yes, the bottles are sealed. We've heard all the reasons why some people are upset that they can't stop by in uniform and pick up a bottle of liquor, or why they shouldn't. And you know, when things like this occur, it's lots of times ends up to be an administrative investigation. Why even go through the mess? Go home, get out of your uniform, and then go to the liquor store, because people have a lot of perceptions in their minds, and when they see you coming out with all the alcohol in uniform, these people, many of the people will think, oh, they must be taking that back to work. And, you know, we know that's not true. We know that. But a lot of the public doesn't know that. Or look, there's an example of an alcoholic corrections officer. You know, it's just the things that people perceive. It's just not good. So don't stop by the liquor store on the way home in uniform. Dancing in the streets or dancing while on duty in uniform. Yes, it's happened. There's been several examples. One that comes to mind was a New York officer on duty at a parade, and he was videotaped actually dirty dancing with a civilian female on the street. Very unprofessional looking, dancing in uniform, bumping and grinding. Hey, we are in uniform to do our job and to act professional, be professional, look professional. This officer may be the best officer on the force, but the perception that he gave led to a darn YouTube that just spread across the country, and it's a bad perception. Keep your dancing to your off-duty hours. When you go home, take your uniform off, okay? You may think it's cool. The person you're dancing with may think it's cool. In reality, it's not cool. You're representing all officers in uniform. You're representing your agency. And you are a public servant for the community. And a lot of the community does not like to see you spending your time dancing with people on the streets while you're in uniform, or anyone else for that matter. Okay. This one might throw you for a loop. It's happened more than once. Parking in handicapped parking space while in uniform without a handicapped parking sticker. In other words, illegally parking in uniform in a handicapped spot. This actually happened here locally. An officer was parking there every day because he was too lazy to walk to his duty area from the far parking lot where most officers had to park. He was even warned by some of the officers in a very nice way, hey man, you probably shouldn't park there. Screw it, they ain't gonna do nothing. He ended up in handcuffs by the local police for parking and handicapped. It's a misdemeanor here in Florida. I think it's a fine of $250 to $500. And anyway, the powers to be from one agency got with another agency. They got him out of the handcuffs and they handled the case internally. And he was transferred to another section and later on transferred back to where he was. You know, is that good? Is that bad? Is that the good old boy system? I don't know. But the point I'm trying to get across today is, number one, I hate it when people park in handicap. My mother's gone now. She passed away at 93, but she had a handicap sticker. And I think of her driving up to age 89 and not being able to get that parking slot up close because some lazy fat ass parked in the handicap slot. So please, don't do it anytime, and please don't do it in uniform. Another one that I wrote down is taking selfies with inmates or offenders in uniform. Now you're laughing, you're saying, come on. Got to be kidding me. Now, those of you that have been in the business for a while, you know this has happened. This has happened before. I've done investigations myself on where this has happened. Now, some of you are going to say, well, officers can't take a phone in the prison. In most prisons or jails, you're not allowed to have your phone. Well, in a lot of prisons and jails, you are still allowed to take your phone in. And if you've been around a while, you know there are hundreds of smuggled cell phones throughout the jails and prisons in our country. Yes, we've had officers take pictures with the inmates, and guess what the inmates do with the smuggled cell phones after they've taken the selfie with their favorite officer? Put it out on social media or send it out to a friend. Look here, man, I got this officer in my pocket. And it gets out there. Well, you know what? On second thought, just disregard this whole last one. Those of you that are taking selfies with inmates, keep up the good work. That's how we catch your dirty ass and get rid of you. Maybe we'll even put some criminal charges on you. So just forget I even said that. And we'll just let them keep taking their selfies with the inmates, and we'll keep catching them and terminating them, possibly filing criminal charges on them. Smoking and drinking after work with your buddies in uniform. Now, in a lot of the rural areas, I don't know how much that happens. I know that I've read some articles in the big cities where bailiffs had gone out at lunch and had beers at lunch, maybe one beer each, and then we found out that they're allowed to have one beer. I don't know. My agency would never allow you to have a beer in uniform, but, you know, it happens. And in the rural areas, a lot of the folks get off duty at the prisons, run by the liquor store, as we talked about earlier, grab some booze, or they already have it in their ice chest. You're not supposed to bring alcohol on state property either. So, but it happens. And then they go out and meet under a tree. Well, people are driving by, and there's 4 or 5 of you just having a beer. But what perception have you given now? Number one, the people driving by are saying, look at all those officers outside their vehicle standing around drinking a beer. They know you're going to get back in your vehicle and drive home after drinking. But this sort of thing happens. Yes, it happens. And then the perception is out there that your agency is just a bunch of drunks. Now they know you're going to drive home after drinking. Just not a good thing to do. Go home, change clothes, meet at the club, meet at the restaurant, meet somewhere at Chili's and have your drinks, but please don't do it in uniform. Recently, I've seen some of the posts on some of the correction sites where people are warning their officers again. And these are fellow officers. This isn't administration. These are fellow officers saying, hey, you guys, careful with your selfies that you're posting. You know, please be careful with your selfies because they could get you in trouble. Now, selfies in uniform. We've got a lot of people going in the bathroom, putting up the camera, taking a picture of themselves, and then the front is in the camera, and the back side is in the mirror behind them. You know, I personally don't understand what the purpose of this is. Why do we want to show our front and back side off and post it on Facebook or Twitter and all these people have access to seeing your picture, they see your bathroom. To me, it's just unprofessional, okay? But if you want to keep posting yourselves in your bathroom with your front and back side showing, you know, that's on you and your agency to determine whether that's good or not. I'm just telling you, it may not be a good idea. Now, posting pictures of an award ceremony where the sheriff or the warden is giving you an award, that's different. That's a proud time in everyone's life and a good thing has been done. Posting a promotional ceremony, you know, posting your honor guard, marching, you know, things like that, that's different. That's a professional setting. That's something to be proud of. But some of these selfies, just be careful with, okay? I know that a lot of us are proud to wear the uniform, so we take a selfie. You just have to be smart on how you do it and what setting you're in when you take the selfie. And for those of you that are meeting an offender after work and taking a selfie with an offender that's on supervised probation and parole, don't think because they're out on the street that that's not just as bad as taking a selfie with an inmate. I had an investigation where an officer was in her first year, and she was very me, prima donna. I don't want that post. Already trying to tell her supervisor what post she's going to get, where she's going to work. And then off duty, she was taking pictures with offenders, and we got a hold of those pictures, by the way. These pictures, once they're taken, if you think you can trust an offender, an inmate with your selfies, man, if you got a lot to learn. They will pass those pictures around to all their buddies, and believe me, one of their buddies' girlfriends is going to find that photo and be ticked off and send that right out to the social media or to the agency's sheriff or warden for them to look at. Believe me. So the message today is be careful with the photos that you take while in uniform. Be careful where you go in uniform, because people are out there filming everything we do. People are out there taking pictures of everywhere we go. People are out there taking pictures of us coming out of the liquor store in uniform, coming out of the sex shop in uniform. I know, I know. It sounds crazy, but it's happened. All these things have happened. Please don't do it. Go home, change clothes, be off duty, and then whatever you do is on you as a off-duty officer. Remember, you represent the agency 24 hours a day, but if you're going to do something stupid and you're not in uniform, it still embarrasses the agency. Still going to be written up in the newspaper as officer, correctional officer, police officer arrested for doing this, but at least you're not being booked in your uniform. Anyway, I think that gets the message across. If you know of some other things, I just jotted down 7 things that came to my mind quickly that I remember from investigations. Just let me know some of your experiences of things you've seen people do in uniform that they should not be doing. Please take heed to this. We want you to finish your career successfully, get that retirement check coming in monthly, get that drop money, get that little nest egg, get with Nationwide and get that money going in every month out of your paycheck and live a good life. That's what we want you to do. And we want to thank you for your service, and we want you to have a good, happy, safe, and sound career. Thank you. True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.